A very good morning to everyone. I am Riya Tapwal doing PhD at IIT Kharagpur under the supervision of Professor Sudeep Mishra in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering. Today we all are here to discuss the concepts which were discussed in week 5 of your course Introduction to Internet of Things, and apart from that we will also discuss the assignment questions of your previous run of this course. So first of all, I'll start with uh, the topics which were covered in the week 5. So first topic is the challenges faced by Internet of Things. So what are the various challenges that Internet of Things face in order to communicate with each other? So basically I have listed out 4 challenges that your IoT devices face when they want to communicate with each other. The first one is large scale of corporation. As we know that in IoT environment there are million of devices, million of distributed devices which are working independent. So there is a need for these devices to cooperate and coordinate with each other in order to exchange the messages, right? So to make the cooperation and coordination between these million of devices, it is difficult. So we required the cooperation and coordination between these devices in order to make the communication effective. The second challenge which is faced by your IoT devices is the heterogeneity. See, there are various types of IoT devices available in your environment. They may be different from each other in various aspects. For example, the protocols they are using, the data format they are using, the protocol for communication they are using, the operating system they are using. In various aspects they may be different from each other, and these aspects are responsible for making these IoT devices heterogeneous. So because of this heterogeneity, it becomes difficult for these devices to communicate with each other, because there is no particular standard through which they can interact with each other, or they can understand what the other device want to communicate. So there is a problem of heterogeneity in your IoT devices. The next one is unknown IoT device configuration. The devices which is present in your IoT environment belongs to different manufacturer, different owners. So sometimes their configuration is not known, and without knowing their configuration, it becomes difficult for these devices to communicate with each other. So this is one of the major issue, that unknown IoT device configuration. And the last one is semantic conflict. As the name suggests, semantic means the meaning. So as the name suggests, there may be conflicts between two devices if they can't understand the meaning of message which the device the sender device wants to send. So that will also create problems. So different processing logics applied to same IoT network or network devices or application belongs to your semantic conflicts. Now, what is the solution? How to resolve that problem? How to make the communication between IoT devices more conflict free? So the solution is interoperability, to make the devices interoperable with each other. Now, what is interoperability and how to make devices interoperable with each other? We are going to discuss that. So interoperability is a characteristic of a product or a system whose interfaces are completely understood to work with other products or system, present or future, in either implementation or access without any restriction. So in order to make your devices interoperable with each other, there should be some standard, or there should be some interface with the help of which the two devices will be able to understand each other. The two devices should understand what the other device wants to communicate. So this will be possible with the help of your interoperability. So we have to make the devices which are communicating with each other interoperable. What is the need of interoperability? The need is to make the communication meaningful, and second one is to exchange the data or the services over the IoT network. Now, why your IoT devices need your interoperability? Uh, to fulfill the IoT objectives, now we will discuss what are the various objectives which required your interoperability between your devices. So first one is physical. We need interoperability so that your physical devices can interact with one another and can share their information. This I have already explained you that how your interoperability is necessary for making the devices to interact with each other or share information. Now the second one is any device can communicate with other device anytime from anywhere. So with the help of the interoperability between two devices removes the need of any other hardware or any other things and make the communication possible at any time and anywhere. Further, interoperability is required for machine to machine communication, device to machine communication, and device to machine communication, right? Device to device communication, machine to machine communication, and device to machine communication. Further, your interoperability is required for seamless device integration with IoT network. Now, what is the problem? Why do we need interoperability? As I've already mentioned, the problem is heterogeneity, because the devices which are present in your IoT environment are heterogeneous to each other. These are not homogeneous. These are not following some standard protocols. One device may follow one kind of protocol, other device may follow other kind of protocol. Apart from that, the data formats or the representation of data which these devices are using may be different. Right, now we will discuss that how these devices can be heterogeneous to each other. First one will be different wireless communication protocols such as Zigbee, Bluetooth, GPRS, 6LoWPAN and Wi-Fi. So these devices, the IoT devices, may be different from each other by the type of communication or the type of protocol they are using in wireless communication. Further, they may be different from each other as they may be using different kind of protocols for wired communication such as Ethernet, higher layer LAN protocols. Apart from that, the programming languages that are used by different devices may be different. Your one device may use your programming language such as Java, JavaScript, while the other one may be using your PHP, Python, anything, right? So the programming language in which these devices execute their codes may be different. So programming language also make your devices heterogeneous. Apart from programming language, your devices may use different kind of hardware platform on which they are running. For example, Crossbow, NI, etc. Apart from hardware platform, operating system may be different. Your different IoT devices or your sensor nodes which is present in your IoT environment may use different kind of operating systems such as Tiny OS, Manitis, SOS, etc. And the devices such as your personal computer may use different kind of operating systems such as your Windows, Linux, Ubuntu, right? So they may be different from each other in the means of operating system they are using. Further, they may use different kind of databases such as DB2, MySQL, Oracle, SQLite, SQL Server, Sybase, etc. Further, the type of data representation. Maybe the format used by your one device is different and the format used by your other device is different. So in order to make communication possible between two devices, there should be some standards so that these devices can understand each other. Right. So data representation, different data representation also make your devices heterogeneous. After that, your different control models, your syntactic and semantic interpretation of data, all these things make your devices heterogeneous to each other. And in order to resolve this issue, in order to make the devices to communicate with each other, to exchange data with each other, there is a need so that these devices become interoperable to each other. Now, Types of interoperability. What are the different types of interoperability? Your interoperability is divided into two types. One is your user interoperability and second one is your device interoperability. So user interoperability means there should be interoperability between your device as well as your user. So your device should be able to execute whatever your user wants to uh, do your device. However, on the other side, your user should be able to understand what your device want to communicate with you, right? So this is your user interoperability. The interoperability problem between your user and your device is called your user interoperability. On the other hand, device interoperability means the interoperability problem between your two devices, that how these two devices are going to communicate with each other. In order to resolve this problem, there should be device interoperability between the two different devices. Now, what are the various problems that we need to solve in case of your user interoperability? So, majorly there are three problems. The first one is device identification and categorization for discovery. Second one is syntactic interoperability for device interaction. And third one is semantic interoperability for device interaction. Now one by one we will discuss all these three problems and also discuss how to resolve those problems. So first one was device identification and categorization for discovery. So in your user interoperability, there is a need to identify as well as to categorize the devices which are to which we are going to communicate. So there should be some methods with the help of which we are going to identify our devices, and apart from that we also need to categorize those devices. So now we will discuss the various solutions that are available for generating unique code. So with the help of those unique code, you are going to identify your device. In order to identify any object, we either need to name it or we either need to provide address to it, right? So what are the different solutions with the help of which we can generate unique address, and so that device identification will become possible. The first solution is electronic product code. So with the help of your electronic product code, you can generate unique address to your device. Second one is your universal product code. Third one is your uniform resource identifier. And fourth one is your IP addresses. So with the help of IP addresses, you can also provide unique address to each of the device which is present in your IoT network. Now, after identifying different devices, there is a need to categorize those devices. There is a need for device classification. So there are two basic solutions which we use in order to do device classification. First one is United Nations Standard Products and Service Code, that is your UNSPSC. It is an open global multi-sector standard for efficient, accurate, flexible classification of products and services, right? Second one is your E-class. So your E-class is a standard for classification and clear description of your industrial products. Okay. Yeah. Now next topic is your syntactic interoperability for device interaction. What do you mean by syntactic? Syntax, as we know, as we studied in your different languages, for example your C, C++, syntactic means the format which we are going to follow. The syntax of your C programming language is different from the syntax which your C++ use, right? It means the format in which you are going to execute the commands is different in C. However, the format of commands which you are going to use in your C++ is different. So syntax means the message format in case of your IoT devices, that how your one IoT device is going to use the message format will be different from the message format used by another device, right? So in order to make the communication possible between these two devices, we need some interoperability between those two devices so that these two devices can understand each other, right? Similar for devices and device users also. So device should be able to understand what the device user wants to convey to your device. So your device should be able to execute that command. However, on the other hand, your user should be able to understand the message format of your device, right? So basically the interoperability between devices and device user in term of message format is called your syntactic interoperability. The message format from one device to a user is understandable for user's computer, and on the other hand the message format from your user to a device is executable by the device, right? So device should be able to execute the message which is sent by your user, and user should be able to understand the message format of your device. Now here semantic interoperability for device interaction. So the interoperability between device and device user in term of message meaning. In case of your syntactic, it was your message format, the way you are writing your message. Now it is the meaning of the message. Semantic means meaning. So there should be some interoperability between your device and device user in term of message meaning. So there should be no conflict between the meaning which is understood by the user and the meaning which is told by your device, right? The device can understand the meaning of user instruction that is sent from the user to the device. Semantic conflict refer to different processing logics applied to same IoT network devices or applications. After that, the user can also understand the meaning of device response sent from your device. Now, various approaches in order to achieve your semantic interoperability is ontology. So, ontology is basically of three types, that is your device ontology, physical domain ontology, and estimation ontology. Now, after user interoperability, we will discuss about device interoperability. So the two devices which are communicating with each other should also understand each other. In order to achieve that, we need some solution that is your universal middleware bridge, which solves the seamless interoperability problem caused by heterogeneity of several kind of home network middlewares, right? UMB creates virtual map among physical devices of all middleware home network such as your HAVI, Genie, LonWorks and UNPNP. Apart from that, it creates a compatibility among these middleware home networks. Now your UMB consists of mainly two components. First one is your UMB core and the second one is your UMB adapter. So your UMB core is responsible for routing the universal metadata message to the destination. However, your UMB adapter translates the local middleware message into the global metadata message. Now the topic of interoperability is over. Now we will shift to Arduino. So introduction to Arduino. So Arduino is an open source based electronic programmable board which comes with your IDE, that is your software with the help of which you can write your program. Arduino accepts both analog as well as digital signal as input and gives the desired output. There is no need of external hardware required to load the program into your controller board. Now, what are the various features of your Arduino? So, the operating voltage on which your this Arduino board works is your 5 volt. The clock speed is 16 megahertz. digital input output. This digital input output represent the digital input output pins. So there are 14 digital input output pins, that is from your 0 to 13. Here you can see that this is 0 and this is 13. So these are the 14 pins which you can use as input as well as in order to give output. Further, your analog input. So similar to your digital pins, there are some analog pins, this is that which are present this side. So there are 6 analog input pins. These pins can only take input in the form of your analog signals. After that, PWM. So PWM is pins are 6. So these are your PWM pins. PWM pins are responsible for controlling the functionality of your Arduino. For example, let's consider that you are using your Arduino in order to give output to your LED bulb. So your PWM in that case will be responsible for controlling the intensity of the LED lights, right? So so these are the pins which are used, which are PWM pins. After that, UART is one. This is responsible for establishing communication with Arduino, and last one is interface, with the help of which you can enable your Arduino to connect with your device or to give power to your Arduino. So interface is your USB via 80 mega 16 U2. Now, what are the various board details? Here this is your Arduino board. You can see this. Now, first component of your Arduino board is your power supply. So you can get power from your USB connector as well as from your power barrel jack. Right. So this thing is your USB connector and this one is your power connector. Further, LED power indicator, second one is voltage regulator. So basically there is a component which is your voltage regulator in your Arduino. So your Arduino can work on two different voltages, that is your 3.3 volt as well as on your 5 volt. Apart from that, there is one LED power indicator. Here I'll show you this one, this which is represented by L. As you can see that this is your LED power indicator, right? So LED power indicator is responsible for showing whether your Arduino is getting power or not. So if this LED power indicator is blinking, then it means your Arduino is getting power, and if it is not blinking, then it means your Arduino is not getting any power. The next component is TX-RX LED indicator. So these are your TX-RX LED indicator. These indicators are used to signify whether your Arduino is whether the connection has been established with your Arduino or not. So if these LED, that is your TX and RX LED is not, if these are not blinking, it means the connection has not been established yet. If these LEDs are continuously on, then it means your Arduino is trying to establish the connection. However, if these are blinking frequently after a regular interval of time, then it means Arduino has successfully established connection, right? Now next one is output power or ground. So you have also pin which is used to ground your Arduino. Next one is your analog input pins. This I have already shown you that here are 6 analog input pins, and last one is your digital input output pin. This I have shown you that from 0 to pin 13, these are your digital input output pin. These pins are responsible for connecting your Arduino with your sensors or your actuators. So depending upon the need, you can connect your Arduino with your sensor, and in case of sensor you are going to take input, right? So you have to mention that it's input. However, if you are going to connect your Arduino with your actuator, then you have to mention the pin, that through which pin you are going to make the connection, and you also have to mention that the connection is of type output. Now Arduino IDE. So Arduino IDE is an open source software that is used to program the Arduino controller board, right? So after that, the language which is used in Arduino IDE is based on C and C++ programming language. So if you know the basics of C and C++ programming, then you will be able to understand the codes which are written in your sketch in your Arduino programming language. This is, and it will be easy for you to write a code if you know C or C++ programming language, right? Now, how to set up your Arduino IDE? First of all, you have to give power to your Arduino board by connecting the board to your PC by USB cable. After that, you have to launch the IDE, but before that you have to obviously download and install that. After launching Arduino IDE, you have to select the board, that which board are you going to use. See, there are various boards available in the market, so you have to specify that which board you are going to use. For example, in this picture, as you can see that we are using Arduino Uno, right? After that, you also have to mention that through which port you are going to make connection. So for example, here in this diagram or in this figure, it is clear that that from serial port COM4 the connection has been established. Now Sketch. What is Sketch? Sketch is the program which we write in your Arduino IDE. Okay. So any program which you write in your Arduino IDE is called Sketch. So in order to create a sketch, you have to go to File, you have to click on New, then a window will appear where you can write your program, and that program will be called as your sketch. And if you want to open existing sketch, then you just have to click on File. After that, you have to click on Open, and then you have to select the particular program which you want to open, right? Or after that, there are also some built-in programs which are available in your Arduino IDE. These programs are ready to use. These are the ready to use sketches. So for your demo purpose or for your knowledge, you can also check these programs. So for opening these programs, you have to click on File. After that, you have to go on Examples, and then various categories of programs will appear. You have to select the appropriate category on which you are going to work, and after that there are various programs related to that category, and you have to select the example which you are going to learn. For example, here we go on Examples, and after that Basics, and in Basics we are clicking on Blink. So this program is for making your LED lights to blink, right? Now, how to compile your program, how to run your program. So as you can see that these are the icons which are responsible, which we will use in order to do various functions on your sketch. This is the enlarged version of this picture only. So first icon is verify icon. So verify icon is used to check whether there is any compilation error in your sketch or not. So this verify icon is used for compiling your program, right? Second one is upload icon. So this icon is responsible for uploading the final code to the controller board where you will get your output. Next one is new. This create new blank sketch with basic structure, right? Then next one is open. It open existing sketch. So these are also options. So through this icon you can create new sketch, through this icon you can open existing sketch, and if you don't want to use this icon, you can also go to file, and after that by clicking new and open you can do whatever functionality you want to use. And at last there is option for saving your current sketch, that this downward arrows represent the saves. So with the help of this you can save the current sketch. Now sketch structure. So your sketch is divided into two parts. The first one is your setup function, and second one is your loop function. So the function setup is the point where your code start. For example, in C or C++ language, your code start with your function main, right? So similar to that only, there is a function called setup in your Arduino programming language, and at that point your program will start. The second function is loop. So inside the loop function you are going to write the commands which you want to perform, right? So those commands will iterate the specific task in the program. For example, here you can see that we have used setup function and loop function. So this program is used to print your hello Arduino iteratively, right? So yeah. Now various data types which are used in your Arduino programming language. So similar to your C or C++, there are various types of data types which are available. For example, your int, boolean, byte, word, float, array, void, char, unsigned int, unsigned long, double, char, string char, array, long. These are various types of data types which are used in your Arduino programming languages. Now, what are the different Arduino function libraries? So first one is your input output function. So the Arduino pins can be configured to act as input or output pin using your pin mode function. So I have already told you that you can use your digital pin as your input pin as well as your output pin. So we have to mention that whether we are going to use that particular pin as input pin or output pin. So for that we need some function which will going to perform that. So in order to select your pin as input pin or output pin, we are going to make the use of function called your pin mode function, right? Yeah. For example, here you can see inside your void setup function we are using pin mode function with two parameters. First one is your pin and second one is your mode. So in pin you can write the pin which you are going to use, for example 12, and in mode you are going to mention that in which mode you are going to use that particular pin, whether in input mode or output mode. Now apart from your pin mode, there are various other functions which we use in your Arduino programming language. The first one is your digital write. So this is used to write as high or low value to your particular digital pin. Second one is your analog read. So this function is used to read from analog input pin, that is your voltage applied across the pin. Third one is corrector functions such as your is digit, is alphanumeric, is digit, is lower, is upper, is space. So all these functions are going to return boolean type with either 0 or 1. For example, inside your is digit, if you are placing 1, is digit 1, then 1 is digit, right? So it is going to return true, and if it is false, then it is going to return as 0. Now the last function which we discuss is the delay function, right? So in your program, if you want to create or provide a delay of some seconds or some milliseconds, then you are going to make the use of function delay. So this delay function accepts value of integer type. You can only mention your data the delay in integer format in delay function, and the time which is taken by your delay function is in millisecond. It means that if you write delay 1000, it means you are going to create delay of 1 second, right? Now example. So this is the example which is used to make this LED light to turn on and turn off. So what we have written in the code, I'll show you. Firstly, we have to use setup function, because this is the function from where your code is going to start. After that, in setup function, you have to use pin mode, that through which pin your LED bulb is going to get output. So we have to mention the pin, and we also have to mention the mode in which you are going to use that pin. So for example, here with the help of pin 12, we are getting output to your LED light, right? This Arduino is giving output. So we are using pin mode 12 output. It means that we are using pin 12 as output pin, right? After that, in your loop function, you have to write the functionality. So what we want in our program to do is that initially we want our program to turn on the LED light. After that, we want it to turn on for 1 second, and after 1 second we want it to turn off, and we want this process to continuously iterate. So what we have written is inside the loop, that loop function, we have to call digital write, because we have to give output to your this LED light. So inside your digital write, you have to mention the pin, and you have to tell whether you are going to give output as high or low. Since we want our LED light to turn on, so we are going to give high, and we want it to turn on for 1 second. So we have written delay 1000, not, yeah, 1000. It will create delay of 1 second, and after 1 second we want our LED light to get turned off. So again we have written digital write 12, and we want it to turn off. Then we have written here low, and after that we want it to turn off for 1 second again. Then we have written delay 1000. Now what are the various operators and control statements that we use in your Arduino programming language? So similar to your C and C++ programming language, there are various operators that we can use in your Arduino programming language. For example, in case of your arithmetic operator, you can use equal to, plus, minus, multiply, division, modulus. Then there are comparison operator present in your Arduino programming language, then Boolean operators, then bitwise operator, and your compound operator. These operators are similar to your operators which are used in your C language, right? So this is just simple things, so you can go through these, or you can write a program by using these operators. Now apart from that, what are the various control statements that we can use in your Arduino programming language? So similar to your C language, we can use if statement, if else statement, if else statement, right? So the syntax of writing your control statement is same. So inside if, you have to write the condition, and then in the body you have to mention the commands which you want your program to perform. And in case of your if else statement, similar to C, only in if you have to mention the condition. If this condition is satisfied, then this code will run this set of commands, otherwise it will run this set of commands. Now your if else condition, this is again similar to your if else statement in your C, so you can go through that. This is easy. Now the control statement switch case. So this is again similar to your switch case in your C programming language. So you have to specify the cases, and after each case you have to write break, and you also have to mention default case. right? This is similar, same as your switch case in your C programming language. Then like in C we have conditional operator. Here also, for example, here we have used conditional operator. This value is going to be this thing if statement 1 is true, otherwise your value will be your statement 2. Okay. Now we have various types of loops in your Arduino programming language. For example, your for loop, while loop, do while loop, all are same as in your C programming language. So you can go through these. Now arrays. Arrays is are collection of elements having homogeneous data type that are stored in adjacent memory location. The conventional starting index is 0. So how to declare your array? So initially you have to mention the data type, that which kind of data your array is going to store. Since it is homogeneous, array store homogeneous kind of data. So either of your data type can be used. For example, if you want to store the data of type integer, then you have to mention that the type of array as integer. For example, here we have mentioned your array as integer, and then after that we have to give the name of name to your array, that what here we have given arre, and after that you have to mention or specify the size of the array. For example, here your arre can only take 5 elements, so the size of your arre is 5 only, right? Now what is the alternative declaration? How to declare your array alternatively? So if you don't want to declare your array like this, you can specify the elements which you are going to store in your array in the declaration only. So see this here you have given the data type, name of the array, and you will specify the elements that you are going to store in your array. So likewise you can also make or declare multi-dimensional array. Now strings. So what is string? So string is an array of characters with null as termination, right? So here in case of string, the data type will be only character, right? No other data type. So how to declare your string using array? So initially you have to mention the data type. So in case of your string, data type is character. After that you have to mention the name, and then you have to mention the string which you are going to store. Apart from this declaration, you can also specify the elements one by one by using the specific position where you want to store that particular data. Now another type of declaration can be done with the help of object called string. So if you don't want to make the use of array, then you can also use object, that is string, in order to declare your string. For example, here you can see that we have used object string, and after that we have given the name str, and then we have mentioned the string which we want to store in your str, right? Now what are the different functions that are used in your string? So first one is str to uppercase, right? So this function is responsible for changing all the characters of str to uppercase. Now second one is str replace string 1 string 2. So this function is responsible for replacing your string 1 with your string 2. Now the third one is str.length. So this function will return the length of the string without considering the last element, that is your null element. Now the random numbers. So in order to generate random numbers in your Arduino programming language, there are various functions which we can use. So the first function is your random seed. So random seed is used to reset the random pseudo number generator with seed value v. What does it mean actually? So if you are going to mention random seed 7, so it means that your program is going to create random numbers which are greater than 7. So it means to the seed value will become 7 only, After 7, that your program is able to generate your random number. Now the second function is random max I. So this function gives the random number between 0 and the term max I. For example, if you have written random 10, so your function will create random numbers between 0 and 10. And then the last one is random min I comma max I. So if you want to generate random number within a specific range, then you are going to use this function. The minimum limit is min I and the maximum limit for the same is max I. Now integration of sensors with Arduino. Here we have seen in our videos also that how to integrate your DHT sensor with your Arduino. For that you have to, in order to integrate any kind of sensor with your Arduino, you have to include the library of that particular sensor. So in order to include the library of that particular sensor, we have to go to sketch. After that, by clicking on sketch, you have to go to include library and then manage library. If you click on manage library, then this window will come up. Here you have to write the name of the sensor that you want to include, and after that you have to click on here install. After that your particular library of that sensor is going to install on your IDE. Once your library is installed, you can import that library and make use of various predefined functions that are available in that library. For example, in case of your DHT sensor, here this is your DHT sensor, which consists of 4 pins. So pin 1 is responsible for your power supply. Pin 1 signifies your power supply. Second pin signifies data. Third pin signifies null value. Sorry. And fourth pin signifies grounding of your sensor. Now what are the various functions that are available in your DHT library? Here for example, you can see here dht.read humidity. So this function is used for reading the humidity value from your this sensor. Apart from that, in order to read temperature value, the function available is dht.read temperature. Now similar to your sensors, we can also integrate your actuators with your Arduino. For that also we have to include the library, and once the library is included, you can use the various predefined functions in order to use that particular actuator. Here it is a servo motor, which is a mechanical or electromechanical device which convert your energy into motion. It is mainly used to provide control motion to the other objects. It is a high precision motor which provides